Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to the final of my Fountain Pen tournament for late 2024. It's here, it's the final. Here's our contenders. Three very different pens, three very different prices. Join me now down on the table, take a quick look at the pens. We'll do some size comparisons, weights and measures. We'll do a writing sample. I'll give you my brief thoughts, then hand it over to you to vote for the winning pen. Welcome down to the table. Here we've got our finalists. We've got the Majohn P136. We've got the Platinum Preppy. And we've got the Lamy 2000. Three pens that you've picked from my starting selection. They've gone through the heats, they've gone through the semi-finals, and here they are in the final. Let's start by taking a quick walk through the bodies. As usual, not going to focus here on the details. If you want a detailed walkthrough, I do have other videos on my channel where I do that. We're just going to look at things like similarities and differences. First difference you can see is the size. We've got the P136, that's a lot longer. The Platinum Preppy, a little bit shorter there than that Lamy Safari. In terms of widths, the P136 does look a bit wider than the Preppy and the Lamy 2000. We'll look at those though when we do our weights and measures. Another key difference between these is the filling system. We've got on the P136 a piston filler. We've got on the Platinum Preppy, this is cartridge converter. On this particular one, I've eyedroppered. I won't be doing that again because I have noticed I'm getting some leakage. As you can see already, I've got some ink from that on my hands. And then we've got the Lamy 2000, also a piston filler. But it's hard to see where that piston mechanism is, isn't it? Let's take the caps off these. So with the P136, we've got half, one, about 1.5 turns to take the cap off. That's not too bad, is it? With the Preppy, it just pulls off. And then with the Lamy 2000, again the cap just pulls off. Let's focus down on the nibs. So with the Majohn P136 here, we've got a standard Moonman nib, labelled Moonman, all silver coloured. It's a metal nib, it's a steel nib. It's a steel nib. We've got a nice decorative border. We've got the word Moonman. We've got a logo, and then below that we've got F. This is a fine nib. Next to that, the Preppy. Wow, doesn't that nib look tiny compared to the P136? It's a steel nib. On here, very, very simple. We've got Platinum, we've got P there for Platinum, 0.5 for the size. I still debate this, whether it's a medium or a fine. I personally think it's a medium, but I have had people telling me it's a fine nib. If I just turn it over, you can see there, this just slides on a little bit like a Lamy Safari, but I don't think that it's the same size as a Safari nib. Then with the Lamy 2000, we've actually only got a little bit of the nib sticking out there. So it's a bit like a hooded nib. The majority of the nib is hidden away. This is a 14 karat gold nib, and it's a broad nib. Looking at the pens, on the P136, as I've said, this is a piston filler. So here we've got the piston window. So it's a series of slots that you can hopefully see through. I've got to be honest, I do struggle with it. I just find, there we are, if I get this into my focus point, that might be a bit easier, isn't it? There we go. Hopefully you can see them now. I do find it difficult to see through them, I will be honest. And with the Lamy 2000, again, piston filler. There's a very thin ink window there. Hopefully you can see that. Again, I've got to be honest, I struggle with this. Let's do some size comparisons. It's my standard size comparisons. We've got the Pilot Metropolitan and the Lamy Safari. All the pens are very roughly the same size and posted. Yes, the Preppy a little bit on the shorter side. Width-wise, Obviously that P136 a little bit wider. And now we can see them without the cap. The Lamy 2000 also a little bit wider. Just going to get the Safari and the Preppy just so you can see the two nibs. As I say, they both slide on, but very different sizes. What are they like in the hand? So we'll start with the P136. This is a nice fit in the hand. Nice comfortable section. Doesn't feel too short, just seems to be about the right size. Will it post? No, it doesn't really post. It slides straight off. So not a pen for posting. Then we've got that number 6 nib there. With the Preppy, surprisingly comfortable. Nice wide section again. It feels really comfortable to use. Nice length. It will post. There's a cap going on. I use it unposted. As you can see there, we've got the ink sloshing around. Unfortunately, as I say, not really happy with it, so I'll be using this with a cartridge going forward. And then with the Lamy 2000, another one very nice. The section here goes all the way down. I find I hold it about halfway down that silver part. Very nice and comfortable there. Will this one post? Yeah, this posts exceptionally well. Doesn't feel back heavy, actually feels really nice. Although I don't use it posted, I would be happy using that one posted. Let's just pop the caps on them. Here's the pens with the caps on. All the pens very roughly the same in terms of length. P136 just that little bit longer. Let's swap on over and fetch in the rule of measuring. Here we've got the rule of measuring. Let's start with the Majohn. So the full pen, 14.6 centimetres. Unposted, that comes in at 12.6 centimetres. As I say, it doesn't post. The width of the body, so I measured it about here, being the widest point. That comes in at 1.33 centimetres. The cap, that comes in at 1.52 centimetres. The section goes from 1.1, I measured that here, and up to 1.13. So very little change. There is a little tiny bit, and you can see that, but very little change in the width. With the Preppy, the full pen, that comes in at 13.8 centimetres. Unposted, here we're looking at 12.2, and then posted, we've now got 15.3. The width of the body, I measured about here, that comes in at 1.2 centimetres, and the width of the cap, 1.3 centimetres. The section, that goes from 1.02 up to 1.07, so slightly narrower than we were seeing there with that Majohn. The Lamy 2000. There we go. So the full pen, that comes in at 13.8 centimetres. Unposted, 12.3. So very similar unposted to that Preppy. And then once I post it, that feels really soft and spongy as I put that on. Now we're looking at 15.3. Again, similar to what we were seeing with the Preppy. The width of the body, I measured it about here, 1.21. The cap, 1.41. And the section, it goes from about here, where it's 1 centimetre, up to here, where it's 1.1. Again, slightly narrower than we were seeing with that Majohn. Let's swap on over and fetch in the scales of weighing. Here we've got the scales of weighing. Remember, we've got ink in all these pens. With a Majohn, 26 grams for the full pen. 16 for the body, and 10 there for the cap. Not an overly heavy pen. With the Preppy, 12 grams for the full pen. 8 grams for the body. 2 grams there on the cap. You can feel it when you're writing. It is a lot lighter. And then with the Safari, 26 grams. Although it isn't, it does feel to me a little bit heavier than I see with the Majohn P136. Weird, isn't how that can happen. Body, 18 grams. Cap, 9 grams. Let's get this out of the way and fetch in the notepad of testing. Just dropping in to interrupt your regular programming. Would you like to help support the channel? If so, please consider joining as a member. As a member, you'll get early access to my videos. I normally upload them a couple of days before they go out, and as soon as they're uploaded, they'll be released to members. There'll also be a shout out at the end of the videos, and then as we get the members coming in, we'll actually chat among ourselves and work out what other perks, what other things you'd like me to add in. You know, would you like maybe a monthly live chat just for members? All down to us. So please, if you can, consider joining the channel. A link will be in the description down below. Here we've got the notepad of testing. This is a notepad that was kindly made for me and then gifted to me by one of the viewers. The paper in here is 170 GSM, GST, why have I put that? 170 GSM Burroughs paper, and it's got like a nice glossy silky feel. Let's jump forward to the right page. Here we go. So this is a lined paper. Just going to turn on its side. We'll start with the Majohn. So we've got here a Majohn P136. It's got a fine nib. Price wise, we're looking approximately 37 Aussie dollars. The ink by Diamine, and it's Storm. Now I have been trying to agitate this because there's a shimmer ink in here. I'll do my Wasky Squirrel grid. So up and down. Side to side. Then a grid. And then diagonal lines. Drying times, we go immediate. 10 seconds. Well, look at that. I'm going to do that 10 seconds again because we've gone from quite wet to very dry. 10 seconds. That's a bit better. I was getting a bit concerned there. 30 seconds. I'll go on the line below. 30 seconds. Game that looks like it's dry. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go straight and jump into a minute. There's the 1 minute test. I'm not sure what was going on here. One thing to remember with my drying times, yes, it's affected by the pen. Yes, it's affected by the ink. It's also affected by the paper. It's affected by the weather. There's so many different things going into this. And this, I do find, is a fairly slow drying paper. Let's just look here. Wow, not sure if this is going to come through over on the camera. It's a beautiful, I want to call it like a greeny gold type shimmer coming through. Diamine Storm's really nice. Not sure if I can, as I say, unfortunately it's difficult for me to see on my camera preview. So I just try in different angles, see if you can see that. So that was that P136. We'll come back shortly and we'll write the sentence. So next up, we've got the platinum. Again in here, we've got a shimmer ink, so I'm just agitating it a bit. So we've got here a platinum. I love this ink colour. Preppy. With a 0.5 nib. Not sure if it's coming over on the mic. It's squeaking on the page. There is, I'm not sure if it's a coating, but this is definitely a very glossy feeling paper. I believe it's a silk finish, I think they called it. 9 Aussie dollars. Dirt cheap pen. If you want a converter for this, the converter costs more than the pen. The ink by Diamine. And it's Subzero. I'm still hearing it squeaking. It's really talking to me, this one on here. Let's do that Wasky Squirrel grid. So we go up and down. See, this is why I think this is more of a medium. It seems to be filling that in, and seems to be a slightly wider line than I was seeing with the Majohn. Let's go in crosswise, and we'll do a grid and a diagonal grid. There we go. Drying times. So here's immediate. Get a clean finger. Seems a bit drier, doesn't it? 10 seconds. 30 seconds. That's nearly dry there. Let's do 1 minute. Yeah, that's nice and dry there after a minute. So quite a nice drying ink. Again, can we see that shimmer in here? Yeah, I can see that definitely on the word Diamine and Subzero. See, I put a bit coming through in that grid. Once again, let me see if I can capture this on camera for you, just so you can see. Yeah, I think that look of it, Diamine there should be coming out in that gorgeous, like a bright blue shimmer, I would say. One thing I'm going to show you, this is what I was saying about it leaking, is my hands. Nice and covered with ink, so I'll have to give them a good scrubbing a bit. The final pen, the Lamy 2000. This is in this beautiful black macrolon finish. So, Lamy 2000. Oh, this is so nice. It's got a broad 14 karat gold nib. Price wise, you pay for it. 340 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Diamine. It's Weeping Willow. I do find this to be a nice shading ink, and look at that, we can see it coming through there in our writing. Let's do it slightly smaller. No, there we go, we get roughly the same size, our Wasty Squirrel grid. So up and down, filling this up really quickly, side to side. Grid and diagonals. Now, especially here with the diagonals, one of the things with this pen, although it's a broad nib, it's a very stubby broad nib, and apparently that's common on Lamy 2000s. This is the only 2000 I've got, but people have told me it's something which is very common. I actually like it. I like stub nibs, so I think that really does add a lot of character to the writing. Drying times, so we go immediate, 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Then I'll do a 1 minute test, although that does look dry, doesn't it? There we are, nice and dry. What we're going to do now is write a sentence with each of the pens. I'll fetch them out in the same order. What I'm going to do is move the mic down to the page so you can hear each pen writing. So we start with that P139. That sounds like it's whispering to me. Very nice. A nice, like, loud whisper. It's as if, I think the best way to describe it, if you're in a room with a couple of other people and they're whispering to each other and you're maybe a couple of meters away, it's like that sound that I can hear. With the Preppy. Again, whispering there, but did you hear it? Did you hear the little squeaks that was coming? It's a bit like it was, I want to say it's a bit like it was singing to me as I was writing. Now, I do these sentences like this because we can see here the line on that Preppy, definitely wider than that fine line we were getting there from the Majohn. Finally, we've got the Lamy 2000. That's a lot smoother writing. Oh, gone off the page there. Let me just move that up a bit. There you go. To me, again, it's whispering, but as it's going over the paper, it feels like almost like I'm writing on ice. Very, very smooth, very little resistance. It was the quietest of the three as well. Let's swap on over and we're fetching the pens for one final look. So today's pens, we've got that Majohn P136, we've got the Platinum Preppy, and we've got the Lamy 2000. 3 pens at very, very different price points. We've got that dirt cheap Preppy, which writes really well. I say eyedroppered. Well, I may do it again, but what I might do is try putting some more silicone grease around the threads. I do like seeing this eyedroppered because I love seeing the ink flowing. That P136, that's heading towards the start of the mid-range of prices. It's a good, well-built pen. Writes nicely. It's a nice fine line. And then at the higher end, we've got the Lamy 2000. 340 Aussie dollars. It's not cheap, but you're getting a gold nib. You're getting the quality of a German engineered and German made pen. So it's over to you. Head on over to my YouTube community page. There you'll find a poll where you can pick the winning pen from these 3. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. So head on over to the YouTube community page where you can vote for these pens. What do you think of them? Which one do you want to win the tournament? It's going to be really interesting because, we've got this $9 pen. We've got this fairly expensive pen. But will the $9 pen come out ahead? Head on over, cast your vote, and then on my live stream next week, on Sunday, I'll announce the winning pen. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.